Hey everybody, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. We're here in London. I'm with my co-host Henny. Today, Henny, we have a different episode.
We do.
We've never had two guests on at the same time. This is the first time ever, and I can't wait for you guys to hear this conversation because we have two people. One of them is a renowned motorsport journalist and podcaster, someone that both Henny and I really look up to in the podcasting space. The second person is a senior producer at one of the biggest groups in the motorsport space, Quadrant. Please welcome Matt Amys Katy Fairman.
Let's go. Let's get it.
What an intro.
Thank you.
I can't repeat that. That was too much energy. It's like collapse.
How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having both of us. We're super excited to be here.
Yeah.
Matt and I have known each other for so long, so this is going to be like four besties catching up. I can't wait.
Absolutely, yeah, because you guys have obviously just only flown into London as well, only recently. So how are you guys? Are you getting any
surviving.
sleep whatsoever?
We're surviving. Let's just keep it as that.
We're thriving.
Yeah. One day we sleep at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. and one day we're at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's undecided.
Like American football
Yep.
with like work
Yeah.
means like we're sleeping
Eastern
at like
times.
really weird times.
Bless you both.
There are days where I just wake up and I see darkness. Mentally.
Oh,
kidding.
no.
Anyways, well, we're happy you're here. We kind of break up our interviews into Q1, Q2, Q3. So getting right into Q1, kind of the first question I have for both of you, I think there's obviously a lot that people can research in regards to your career and what you guys have done, what you currently do. But I'm curious, going into 2024 now, what are like some of the core priorities you guys have professionally and personally? Matt, maybe you can kick us off here.
Yeah, so it's kind of two with me because obviously I got my main job, which is with Quadrant, and then obviously the other side of my life is my own YouTube channel, making that. So I think the biggest goals for us, obviously with Quadrant, is always just to try and get it to be open to a bigger audience as possible. Basically, making the best videos that we can. Obviously, we're not just doing that with Quadrant. We've also got a great apparel team as well, with some new other projects coming up, which I can't quite talk about just yet. And then, with my YouTube channel, it's just kind of doing the same old, really. I don't really have any set targets. It's kind of just making the best videos I can and having a lot of fun with it, really.
Yeah, as for me, I guess I just always want to kind of improve what I'm doing. I'm lucky with the things I'm doing with Formula E this season is they're letting me do more things than just sit in a room and write race reports and things like that. So improving my technique of interviewing drivers, which is always something that I think you can work on. But also I'm being put into other positions. I hosted a press conference recently in Mexico, which was crazy. As somebody who never even spoke up in one, to then be hosting one was very strange. Luckily, I'd listened to enough that I knew kind of what to say and that kind of thing. But also, I guess, trying to get more comfortable in front of the camera and doing more presentery kind of things. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to work on this year. But I'm just excited to see what 2024 has in store for me.
I love it. And Katy, obviously, you're very busy across traveling, writing, podcasting. Like, what does a typical day look like for you?
Chaos. I am also so bad at prioritizing my own time, so I need to use some sort of like AI tool to help me like shift my day because it just is all over the place. But yeah, normally a mix of writing things. I've got some clients this year, which I'm not sure if I'm not to do a Matt and be like, I don't know if I can talk about, but that will be some cool stuff that I can do this year in the F1 space. And then, like you say, balancing Formula E things, my podcast when I can get time to record episodes. And so, yeah, it's kind of a bit all over the place, but I love that. I love having every day is a bit different. It would be nice to wake up in the morning and actually know what my day looks like. But there's also, fun things that come with that as well. So can't complain.
Oh, that's amazing. And then, Matt, you said you were a senior producer for Quadrant. Explain to the audience, what does that job look like and what's some memorable moments you've had that you haven't shared with people?
So effectively my job is to create the best sort of videos we can. So obviously Quadrant was created kind of during lockdown with obviously our main founder, Lando Norris, with a bunch of creators as well. And then the idea is just to basically have them as most fun as possible within like a racing context.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what my week normally looks like is not only just sort of brainstorming it, it's also the production elements as well, figuring out logistics of shoots, being the actual producer role and sort of managing my team of trying to actually shoot that, edit stuff on time. And then, when I get home, that's when my other side of my life can sort of kickstart, really. So.
And the logistics are tough.
Yes.
Like, because you guys aren't going to like flat areas typically to shoot. Like, you go to like cliffs and mountains sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that's the one thing we want to try to do is like anyone can sort of just do an activity, but what we want to try and make fun videos which haven't really necessarily been seen before. And we want to try and like not only just come up with like sort of clickable titles, we want the creators to have fun with what they're doing, and when they're actually having fun, then it reflects into the content. But also making sure that when we do have time with Lando, that we're also utilizing his time as much as well, because we don't want him to come up and also be bored. That's ultimately why we're here, to sort of manage all that workload for him. So when we do fun stuff like that, so I think the most notable time we had, the concept we came up with was Hole in the Wall, which used to be an old
video.
It was an old game show that used to happen both in America and the UK, where effectively you have a huge polystyrene wall come towards a contestant with a particular pose of a body position, and you've got to try and make that pose, and if you don't do that, then the polystyrene wall will push you into the water. And we thought, can we apply this to any way in form of racing, go-karting? And then when we pitched the idea, it was a bit like, that makes no sense, and why are we spending this much money on these walls? And then as soon as we got to the filming day, like Lando was coming up with loads of ideas of how we can like sort of make it even more challenging, putting tape on the visor and stuff like that. And then and it was just a really fun shoot to do. And then Mariah, one of our creators, she absolutely nailed it and won the contest. And you see the genuine reaction at the end. Yeah, you
Girl
see
power.
exactly what you're saying.
So
And so you see them genuinely at the end, like really cheering each other. And then, if you do crash into the wall, then you see your favorite Formula 1 driver to get into a dunk tank. So,
Damn. And I remember there was another one that you guys did with the hot sauce.
Yeah.
I've heard some traumatic
stories.
experiences from that one.
So, obviously, when we've got time with Lando, because he's such a busy athlete as well, and obviously his main job is to be a Formula 1 driver. So, when we do spill your guts or fill your guts, obviously we've got to come up with the worst things for them to kind of eat. Yeah. So, Lando was sort of being the question master there. And the hot sauce was awful.
Like you have to have some?
Well, basically it's like
no one's safe.
Unfortunately, one of the I wouldn't say perk, I would say one of the downsides of being the producer for it is that you've got to like test stuff up. So like we've got to have obviously hot sauce there. We have like 1,000-year-old egg, like turkey testicles and stuff like that. So I had to cook all of that in my flat, so that was disgusting. But then also I've got to like test it as well, because I can't give them something which then they could get really sick on. So then I have to consume that before the shoot to make sure it's all fine.
So you're in your flat alone, just testing stuff.
Oh no, nobody knows. My partner Phoebe, she was helping me out of like, well, no, she wasn't eating. I was very much consuming. But the hot sauce was awful, and like I think Lando really liked giving the hot sauce to people because it looks easy to drink. It's a little shot glass of like I can't remember the hot sauce.
The bomb.
The bomb. It's literally that. And it looks like a hot sauce. You can drink it so quickly. Yeah. And then after about 5 minutes, if you're on no stomach, you're straight away to the toilet. Both ends. It's awful, basically. It's just
oh
not.
My gosh.
Like there's pain like you would not believe. And so
God.
I think it was Philly, young Philly, Mariah did it, I think Steve and Arav. And we basically ran out of hot sauce because everyone kept using it, but everyone didn't realize how hot it was. And then after that, it was like, cool, we're now going to do some go-karting.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Oh my God.
I heard Rhea couldn't even show up.
She couldn't show up. Yeah. Well, no, she was there. And luckily, like whenever we're doing shoots, I get like medical just on standby, and we had to have it there on the day. And Mariah, we were going to do a whole Mario Kart filming day, and Mariah couldn't take part, unfortunately, because she was. I didn't, because we all said to take a little sip, but she did the whole thing. And then like, bless her, she couldn't do it in the end. But we're making up for it with our future videos to come.
Oh, nice.
And Katie, one of the things I'm blown away by the way, is your work ethic, but also more importantly, like you're just everywhere. I feel.
Sorry.
like there are times where I'm like, okay, well, you're at a Formula E race, and then I see you like interviewing Max Verstappen, and you've had the opportunity to interview Sebastian Vettel now too,
Legends.
And like I think that might have been one of your favorites.
Yeah, I never stop going on about that. I never will. That's like life peaked right there.
How do you approach that sort of like prep? Like, how do you prep for interviews like that?
For interviews like that, I think the first thing is, like, when I got the confirmation email that this was going to happen, like, I have to give a shout out to a guy called Paul at Red Bull, who basically I got in contact with him and said, like, he's there for this Red Bull day at the Nürburgring. Is there any chance? And sure enough, he managed to make it work. So, you have to have a good existing relationship with people like that and be appreciative of the opportunities when they come. But the first thing I did, and this is so embarrassing, but I cried when I got the email that I was going to interview Seb, which is not professional at all.
Oh, stop it. Are you
But
kidding?
it was so overwhelming because I was certain that he would retired, and that was going to be it. And like, we all know what Seb is like. He doesn't really do social media. He doesn't really show up to events unless they've got like a real meaning to him, whether that's, you know, doing stuff with school kids about nature and things like that. And so I really thought my time to meet him, to interview him, had gone. And so when I got that through, I was so emotional at the idea that this was actually going to happen that I did have a little cry. It wasn't like hysterical, mascara down the face or anything, but a few tears were shed. And then it's just trying to come up with the best questions that I had. And unfortunately, he was so busy with this day that he had that I didn't get to ask all the things I wanted to. But the questions that I did get, like the quality time with him was amazing. And I've said it before, but he honestly was just so lovely. Took so much time. Like, we had limited time anyway, but he wanted to know how I was, where I lived, without sounding like a stalker. But even
Where do you know?
Yeah, what's your zip code? But no, I was telling him like I live near Brighton. He said, "Oh, that's near Goodwood. I'm there for the Festival of Speed a lot." And then he was talking about that and all these different sort of things. And so he really takes time with the people that he's with and wants to get to know them, which was obviously an amazing experience for me. But yeah, just trying to think of different questions is something that I'm really trying to push forward. Of course, you have to, at events like this, you have to ask, like in Formula E, what are your expectations for this weekend? We're in Mexico City. You know, you've won here before. Do you think you can do it again? Like that kind of stuff to tick boxes. Yeah. But then, like with the media pen I had this weekend, I want to make sure that I can kind of spice up a little bit and also allow the drivers to open up a bit. Yeah. So rather than, as well as asking those questions, I started off all my interviews with drivers to be like, okay, what's your Mexican wrestling name? What's the best taco filling? Tequila or mezcal? Like what? And so they all sort of were like, oh, okay, like this is a bit different. Yeah. And then hopefully the answers for the more drier questions are a bit more fun. So but yeah, it's good fun. I love it.
Literally, to be honest, if we got an email from Sebastian Vettel, we're bawling our eyes out.
Yeah,
like
100%,
that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But also, like, I was watching your stories for your travel experience to Mexico.
Oh my god!
Please explain what happened to you.
Okay, so going to Mexico, this was last Monday, and already things weren't great because we were 2 hours late leaving Heathrow because there was an issue with the plane. Yeah. So like, okay, fine. Like, and we take off and we're heading over to Houston because that's where I had to make my connection. And I'm not joking you, there was a tornado over Houston.
Oh my god!
So I had a friend on the ground, our mutual friend Claire, actually, who was sending me WhatsApps to be like, yeah, like I can see through storm radar, there's this massive storm, like tornado warning over Houston. And because we were so late leaving Heathrow, we didn't have enough fuel to circulate. So then we had to go to Austin. I was like, I was back here for the F1 not too long ago. I'll just get off and go to Qatar. It's fine. Stop in Austin, fuel on the tarmac, which took like an additional 2 hours. Then finally made our way back to Houston through like horrible turbulence with this storm that's still like lingering. And then when we got there, the door wouldn't open to let us out. So then I was sat on that plane for 17 hours in the end, and it was awful.
17 hours in a plane.
Yeah. Wow. And then had to get through customs and security and all that kind of stuff, which took extra long time because everyone's flights had been affected. So it was so busy. Fortunately, had managed to book myself on the last flight out of Houston to Mexico City that evening. But even then, I was on that plane, which was like 5 hours delayed as well. And we hadn't even taken off yet. And I hadn't actually put this bit on Instagram.
Oh,
we hadn't taken off yet. And I was like, this can't get any worse. And I'm sorry if people are squeamish about people throwing up. But the woman behind me was sick before we'd even taken off. And I was like, get me off this plane. Get me off. Geez. So I like literally launched forward in my seat, like coat up, like mask on, trying not to, I don't want to get sick if it's a bug or something. She'd been sick in the aisle of the plane. And I was like, we're going to have to cancel this flight because this is a biohazard risk. I was so done. I was like, it just would be the icing on top of the cake. Yeah. And then we didn't. The guys just cleared it up on the plane and we went going. And then we also had to abort our landing into Mexico first time because the pilot went in too quick. And so I was like, I got to my hotel at 5 a.m. when I was meant to get in 7 p.m. the night before.
Oh my God.
But it's fine. I was so certain that like my baggage was going to be lost in all of this. So I was like, I just don't care.
Say, come on. Where's Katy Fairman? Wanted.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like, this honestly couldn't get much worse. And also I was on one of the United flights and I had a notification while I was on this United plane in the air, and it was like, United confirmed that some of their planes aren't up to spec and stuff. And I was like,
oh Lord.
So it was really fun.
Yeah.
But Mexico was great.
Yeah.
Mexico
was great.
After all of that, luckily it was a really good weekend. But,
I would have quit. My Houston, I'm like, get me out of here.
When the women
It's
started
over.
throwing up behind me, I was like, "Where's the cameras? This is a prank show."
Yeah.
Aston
I'm getting
Kutcher's-
pugged.
Yeah, Aston Kutcher's going to make an appearance at some point. But
Matt,
yeah.
where are you, Matt?
Yeah, this is be a great Matt Amys video.
Hi, it's me being sick.
Oh no.
Love that. Final
Oh, my
question
God.
for Q1, actually for both of you.
Yeah.
Any advice for aspiring content creators, people that want to get into motorsport, to like put themselves out there? Doesn't matter if you want to be a writer, a videographer, a photographer. Your advice for them, Matt?
I think it's, for me, I would definitely say, like, don't wait for the opportunities to come up and just get out and then start doing it. Whether if it's you're wanting to be like a camera operator, photographer, commentator, or even a content creator, it's better to just start working now and making mistakes rather than waiting for like an opportunity to come up for like a random Sebastian Vettel email coming through kind of thing. So I think most of the people that you ever speak to who are already established, like commentators or videographers, whomever it might be, they've all started off by going to like local racetracks or doing like freebie work. And I'm not preaching saying freebie work is the way to go for it, but at least it gives you the experience firsthand. Therefore, you're always going to be making mistakes. So take that into account, learn from that. So then when you do have like a last minute opportunity come up, then you can take it. A really good reference point, I think, for this was a friend of ours, Tom Brooks, who's a commentator. He used to do like local club sort of commentating and stuff like that. He used to do it for free. Then someone from Rally remembered when they went to go see it at circuits. So he did loads of stuff with Rally, what have you. And now he's a commentator. He's now the full-time commentator for Formula E. That's because he got recommended to do a one-off race at the end of last season. And then he showed his worth, and he was so good, and now he's signed for the whole year. And I'm just so proud for him because you can see that progression going up, and that would be my one. Just start making stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's really solid advice of just starting and getting going with it all. I would also say be curious and find there's lots of information of getting started. I mean, when I began, I had no idea what I was doing, and I made mistakes. You know, I'd write an article about Spa-Francorchamps and I just steal images off Google, which I do not endorse. That is not the way to go. But actually, like through researching and finding out about copyright law and stuff like that, like there's so much free information out there that you can find to sort of help you. Tutorials online, podcasts is a great way of listening to how other people have started. And I think it's important to remember, obviously, for some professions, like if you want to become a doctor or a dentist, yes, there's probably a specific career path that you need to follow. But with motorsports, like I haven't met a single person that had the same way in. You know, I don't know if you did a degree or did anything at college or anything like that, but I basically failed my final years of A-levels, which is the stuff just before college, if you're listening in the States or something, and didn't go to university, just learned everything while I had a full-time job and had a side hustle at the weekends of going to these places that would have me and learning on the job, and asking advice from people that were there. And yeah, I think just being curious and getting started is two bits of good advice. Well done, mate.
Love it.
Penny, what do you think?
That's a
Q1.
purple.
Purple?
They have had traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
You know?
Thanks.
We
So we're
didn't go to
getting,
university. What do we do?
this is getting a trauma card. Thanks.
Purple
wanna
like
get
your
your
hoodie
photo,
there.
so it's a
Yeah.
Purple
tutorial.
sector.
Love it. All right, well, that's a purple. We'll see how Katie and Matt do in Q2 in just a second.
Sorry for the interruption, but Mikey, we really need to tell them about Surfshark.
That we do. Surfshark is the best VPN in the market right now, and you can use it on all your devices. That's your laptop, your iPad, your phone, you name it, it's on there.
Oh my God, can't get better than that, but I'll do you one better. We're motorsport enthusiasts, and sometimes wherever we are in the world, we get that annoying geo-block where it says we can't access a race. How dare they? But with Surfshark, it gets better because with a click of an on, we're back in action.
Amazing. And on top of that, you can have unlimited users, as many as you want. I've even hooked up my family in Ireland. We're all on it.
You got to share it with me.
Hey.
But hey, every time we travel, we're accessing a lot of the public Wi-Fi's out there, Starbucks, train stations, airports. And we've heard so much of our data getting leaked or illegally transferred to somewhere. But with Surfshark, it's all protected.
Yeah, and on top of that, right now, you get 87% off your annual subscription. Like, how good is that?
It's good, but I'll do you one better right there. They get an extra 4 months free on top of that.
That's amazing.
Right?
Gotta sign up.
Exactly. To our Track Limits community, make sure you sign up right now. The link is right here or in the description. Sign up right now before the deal expires, guys. Come on.
Let's go.
Back to the episode.
Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We're getting into Q2 now with Matt and Katie. And in Q2, we want to dive a little bit deeper into your backgrounds. Now, both of you kind of indicated near the end of Q1 that a degree, academia perhaps, was not in the cards for you guys. But was motorsports always in the cards for you guys? Like, both of you, did you grow up with an obsession of it, or did you guys stumble on it later in life? Katie?
Yeah, so motorsport's always been a part of my life, which I'm very thankful to my dad for getting me into that. It was always on a Sunday, and yeah, it became like part of our routine to watch that. And so, yeah, I found myself watching it mainly to spend more time with him, basically. But after a couple of months, I would sort of be able to know who all the drivers were, their nationalities, their previous teams they raced for, what their last race result was. And I just became more and more curious. And he had like coffee table books that I'd flick through and look at old champions, and it just kind of went from there, because obviously so I was born in 95. So this was a time before.
Same age.
Yeah,
Let's go.
95 babies.
Yeah. See, we're millennials. People
yeah.
think we're Gen Z.
No,
we're
you're
not.
Gen
No,
Z.
no.
We're not Gen Z.
Gen
I don't associate.
Nope, I'm not talking to you for the rest of the podcast.
Exactly.
But this was a time before YouTube or anything like that. So a lot of it had to be through books or annuals and things like that. But yeah, I have my dad to thank, and it's, once you get that motorsport bug, it's so hard to shift. And I don't want to shift it. That's the other thing. I love it. It's
You want to like have weekends though, don't you?
social life? What's that? But no, that's my kind of story, is thanks to my dad. So
I kind of got into it quite late, to be honest. There's a great show called Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. My aunt, it was also a family member, my aunt Susie, she got me into Formula One.
Yes, Aunt Susie.
Because she is a huge enthusiast for classic minis and has been doing racing stuff all her life. Recently, actually, we got her some old VHS tapes where she used to compete for like the UK's fastest driver. There was a time when she actually was potentially going to be a new Top Gear presenter and stuff, like being on like, I think like Scrap Heat Challenge or something like that. And so, yeah, so we got these VHS tapes, and so we're sort of going through to make it. But she's the one who introduced me to all that fun racing stuff. And so she would take me along to like Goodwood Motor Circuit for the club meetings and stuff. And then her husband Alex has also been taking me under his wing of like showing me how cars work and such. And then then I had an opportunity to work in Formula E. And that's where I was like properly thrown into like working in an actual sort of like championship, because it's different, because like I grew up watching Formula One, and then this new championship Formula E came in, and I was like, oh, what's this then? And then it's that's how I kind of got into it, really.
Wow. And then Katie, when you were talking about your journey and coming up, you went from marketing to journalism. What does that transition look like?
well, like all my other old jobs before I got full-time in motorsport were nothing to do with F1 or motorsport. So I worked in a fabric shop as a sales assistant, as like a Sunday job, selling fabric and wool to old ladies. And then lovely customers,
Lovely.
but yeah,
But old.
yeah. And then I went into hairdressers and worked as front of house and reception there, and so I did that for about a year and a half, and then into marketing for kitchen and gardening products. But all throughout that time, I used my weekends and my holidays to go to the Formula E and other motorsport events. And I know that the people I worked with thought I was absolutely crazy. Yeah. There was one example where I went to the Geneva International Motor Show to go and look at the new Gen 2 Formula E car. And it was on like a random Tuesday in March or something. And I sort of waved goodbye to my colleagues on the Monday and then went home. And then the next morning was up at like 4 on my way to the airport, flew to Geneva for the day, saw the Gen 2 car, did some interviews with Alan McNish and Mitch Evans and things like that, and then came back home in the evening and then went back to work the next day. So they just missed one day of me, but I got all this content, and they just couldn't understand why I would take a day off to do more work. But like I say, it's what happens when you become obsessed with motorsport, is you do funny things. But yeah, like it still taught me a lot, like, especially like the marketing kind of thing, on how to treat social media right and how to use things like Canva or Photoshop and things like that. So they've all had important things, and maybe like being receptionist has helped me get more confident talking to random people and starting conversations and keeping those going. So although they might not have a direct link to F1, it's kind of formed me into the person that I am today without getting too soppy.
Yeah. And Matt, before I even go a little bit deeper into your background, both of you guys now have mentioned Formula E a few times. Very quickly, make the pitch for Formula E. Why should people listening to this not just watch Formula One, but also watch Formula E?
Ooh, I feel like you might be. Pitch for Formula E. If you like short, exciting races, which like, let's put an analogy out there. You don't want to watch a 3-hour film, but you're more in the mood for watching like a quick 1 hour sort of like comedy or something like that. That's what I feel like is Formula E in terms of not being comedic, but it's like it's shorter races, but you have way more race action. Right. I think Monaco is a great example of like a most insane race you have where we all treat as Monaco on the F1 calendar a bit like, oh, it's all for glitz and glamour, all about qualifying. Whereas with Formula E, you have so many overtakes using the full layout, and it's insane.
I think last year they were like 188 or something around Monaco. It was like crazy in a really short, like 50-minute race.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about Formula E as well is that it's constantly developing as well. From the first season where everything was spec, and then the second season is where they had to like swap over from cars because the batteries inside can handle a full race distance, and now it's only with one battery, and now soon we're going to have rapid charging, which is a new form of pit stops. It's just basically evolving with time, and it's only going to get better and better. It's not set out to replace Formula One or any other championship like that. It's just to show off, well, here is a championship with fully electric cars, and here's what they can do.
Yeah.
I love that. I just wanted to quickly mention that even on this pod, we're excited to dive deeper into Formula E, interview people within Formula E.
Really cool people in Formula E.
Very cool
I love
stories.
the paddock in Formula E. So good.
Matt, am I correct in knowing this? I don't know if it's true or not.
Oh, here we go.
Skeletons out the closet.
Here we go.
But in Vegas, no, I'm kidding. Not in Vegas. But you have a background in film as well, beyond even just YouTube. You've worked with like big productions like the Iron Man 3, kind of even Wolverine, I believe.
Sort of, yeah.
Like the Iron Man movie?
It's very vaguely, but not to that extent. So,
but there is a background in film.
Basically, like Katie, I didn't go to university. So I used to come from a lovely place called Gloucestershire, basically farm essential. And there isn't much of a media scene there. So I moved down to London when I was about 17. To get like an internship for a year, and in that internship is where I was basically a runner for movie premieres and such, including Iron Man 3, Wolverine, and what have you. And that's where I kind of learned a lot of the OB setup for like how you actually, when you see like a premiere online, you'll see like, all the cameras there, you got wide screens and everything like that. We were looking after the production for that. And then from that, I then became a runner for a VFX house because I wanted to do VFX as a proper job. Did that for 3 months, hated it because they treat you like absolute garbage. And also I just kind of changed what it is. So that's kind of like how I've done some other film stuff as well. I even have like an IMDb page now.
Let's go.
I don't. It's not
Have
even.
you set that up yourself?
No. Because when films or short films or whomever it is, they put official credits up for their own actual film. It creates an account, so I don't even have access to it, but there is one for me of like stuff I've done prior. But yeah, no. So then my sort of journey then was then going into YouTube, where I joined a startup YouTube company called Little Dot Studios. I was the employee number 7, where the business model was, this was about, I don't know, like say 9 or 10 years ago now, where the trend is on YouTube now, you'll see like talk show hosts like Jimmy Fallon have their highlights put on YouTube and stuff. Back at that time, that wasn't the king. And so what we did was we went to TV production companies. Let's say like the Graham Norton show, big UK show. It's still going, obviously. We go to the BBC and sit them down and basically saying, every month we'll give you 30 grand. You don't have to do anything. We will give you 30 grand. And basically the business model is that if we were to look after their YouTube channel, we download the episodes, make videos and clips and highlights and stuff like that. And then we split the ad revenue 50-50. So then we get our cut. And that way, if the videos do really well, let's say roughly 30 grand. That's a pure random figure, by the way. Then it means that it's no extra work for them. So that's a great business model for us. And so we naturally just grew hugely. And so the space of like 3 years, we went from like 7 employees up to like, I think like 50 or 60. also looking after their copyright as well. So then I was looking after channels like Gordon Ramsay, Kitchen Nightmares, then a lot of the comedy stuff. So yeah, Graham Norton, Alan Carr, Jonathan Ross, and we go and shoot behind the scenes stuff with them. And then that's how Formula E came into my plate, where Formula E just finished doing their first season and their numbers were horrendously low, and they wanted to go for a digital first approach. Saw what we were doing, and then my boss Andy, rest in peace, came in and basically was like, "Does anyone know about motorsport?" Yes, and then
My calling.
And then we went in and pitched what we could do, and then that's everything else has gone from there really. So then we looked after the digital production, built out our own team. So we did that for 3 years, and then I think Formula E have now taken a lot of those guys in house now. But it was nice to be like the OG from that, and then we sort of built our crew for that. So yeah,
I've always been fascinated by your videos because you come up with the weirdest facts that people should know about motorsports, which is fantastic. But like, how do you come up with these? Like, is there like a plan that you go through and you're like, oh, I think people need to know this?
Yeah.
So I think that's my approach of like with my own videos. That's my approach of like it's not content which I make which I think is going to be do well in numbers. Like I don't even have like a set schedule for when I upload stuff. It's a lot of the time it's videos which I want to make, but I can't find much resource online. Like I think the number one pet peeve I have online is seeing these new content creators who are kind of like just rehashing information which anyone can easily kind of find.
Yep.
And I think that's where my little niche there is kind of like it's videos that I want to learn more about. So when I'm researching and actually filming it, it's stuff I'm learning on the day. Like I think a good example of that was I filmed a video about how the Formula One trophies are made, and there was no information about it online apart from this really. Thank you. There was this really like sort of looks like a 1998 website basically, like very much stick images and block images and what have you. And I got in touch with him. I was like, "We'd love to come and film with you. Where are you located?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm just down in this little shed in Croydon." Went down and it was inside. It's insane. And then you just see the championship trophy being engraved, and it's just like. How does no one know about this?
I had Max's name there already.
But yeah, that's what I have with all my videos. It's very much like it's stuff which I want to learn about, which is Formula One related. So that's my ethos, learning how Formula One is done. And it's a lot of time it's just capturing content and videos which haven't really been seen before. Sure, there's some information on there, but that's why I like to interview the people there to get the full amount from them. So yeah.
Yep.
And then both of you guys put yourself out there, obviously, but part of the kind of gets consequences of doing that is there's negativity on the internet. How do you deal with that? Do you guys like look at the comments and sometimes take it to heart? Do you respond anonymously through a burner? Yeah. Or do you guys just ignore it and move on? Like Katie, I'm curious.
Well, with my previous job where I worked at WTF1, obviously that audience is huge, and so I was coming into that not at the same level as like Matt and Tommy, who are these huge known presences in the space. I had like a small following and like loyal friends and followers and stuff, but that really put me out there on a big scale. And so naturally I was quite curious just to see if people were accepting. And fortunately, like the majority of them were, but like in the first few videos, I would go through the comments. And although I was told it's probably best if you stay away, not because like there were loads of horrible ones, but just generally, you can as a person like see something, you'll see 99 really nice comments, you see one bad one, you'll sort of take it to heart a bit. But now I don't care. I literally, if I send out a tweet or something, most often I'll just mute the conversation straight away. I'll use that feature on X a lot, like with everything that I send. And so if I look at something and go, oh, that's got quite a few comments, I just think everyone's having a lovely time and being really nice. And it works wonders for my mental health because I don't dare look and see what people are saying. And yeah, like just don't let it affect me. So it has taken time, and I'd still see the odd comment or get somebody that uses your business email to send you something nasty or something, and I just think, oh, what a sado, block, delete, gone. Like, so but that has taken time. I know.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
He's been blocked.
Yeah, I actually asked him not to do this.
I'm kidding.
I was gonna cry. That's fine. I know you can never. You're too nice.
Matt, what about you?
I mean, like, I feel it's different for different people. I feel like the worst I've had it is that my old home address actually got doxed out loud online. And so that we had to go through a whole different process of kind of doing that. That's where basically one person really learned, like, not even an opinion, it was kind of just something I made. And that's when I learned there's great tools on YouTube to block words and stuff like that. So, and yeah, like on YouTube, there's great tools of like hiding the account from comments things, which I just love the idea of that the fact that like there's like, I don't know, like hundreds of people who think they're commenting really harsh things, being like, well, I got him, and no one is going to see that, and they don't know that either. It's brilliant. But also it does take some getting used to, especially when you're just starting out as well, because with like large channels, I guess with like WTF1, because there is such an influx of comments and whatever, it's hard to whistle them through. But if you're just starting out, and let's say your video doesn't even get like 1,000 views, and you get a few comments here or there, obviously you're just like, you put so much work into it, you want to see if people are liking it, and if you get a comment which is like really, really horrible, you obviously will take it to heart. And it's obviously sometimes it's easier to sort of be like, I would always say, oh, just try to ignore it, but it does hit sometimes, especially if you're already feeling bad one day.
Yeah.
But I think there's great tools out there, like you're mentioning on X, formerly known as Twitter.
I know.
I gotta throw that in there.
For a second, I was like, X?
Even if
That is streaming app?
I'll never call it X.
Like there's so many great options now to do that, to eradicate like muting people or muting conversations and stuff. I think it just kind of comes with time. It's not natural into us to like take on harsh criticism that well, especially when you're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
But it just sometimes it can get a bit much, but it's all good.
Any verdict?
Let's add more hate and just give them yellow.
Yellow? Maybe? Yeah.
Well, yellow sector. Or lime, what is that?
I
Lime
don't even know
green?
what I am right now.
We'll give them a lime green.
What color I'm wearing, sorry.
I don't know what I am.
Don't take that out of context.
That's a different podcast episode, okay?
I wake up in darkness. I go to what I am. Like,
He's dropping hints.
Yeah.
He's dropping hints here, guys.
Dealing with all this, by the way? I thought this is more for you.
It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. Anyways, we'll see if I can even make it a Q3. But rapid fire round coming soon. Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. I have found myself during the break and very excited about Q3, the rapid fire round, our favorite segment.
It is.
Both of you, are you nervous? Are you excited?
A bit now.
Yeah, it's being build up to be something crazy.
It is.
All right, here we go. We're going to ask you a bunch of questions. We want the answers to be rapid and full of fire.
Okay.
We'll have the
Let me get some more hot emoji.
Can we get like an animation of fire?
Fire,
Yeah,
just
can you imagine?
start.
Editor, put some fire right here.
yes on his hand.
There we go.
All right, Katie, starting with you. If you had to pick a platform to delete out of all the bigger platforms, what would it be?
Well, I was going to say LinkedIn, but I know that that's a special place in your heart.
do not.
So I'm going to say Facebook. The only thing that uses that is my mum uses that. So
Yeah, and you're Gen Z, so you don't even need it.
I'm not Gen Z.
Excuse me. Leave us out.
Yeah, 100% Facebook. I just use it as a photo album now for old stuff. That's it.
Okay. This next question: racing memorabilia you currently own or would like to own?
I currently own a replica helmet of Stoffel van Dorn from testing when he first started. But what I want to do is I want to respray it and have it as Daniel Ricciardo's helmet from Monaco when he won it.
I don't think I have anything too crazy. I bought some like mini helmets for my office. So I have a George Russell one, which I got given by Mercedes. And then I bought a Max Verstappen championship winning one. I want to try and get one for each driver that I've interviewed.
Nice.
My dad,
such a good idea.
my dad was like, I'll make you like this whole thing because he's like a craftsman. So I could store it in a cool way. But
That might get pretty big, though.
Yeah.
it's already quite a
There's
lot.
already a big list.
It would look really cool.
Like a
but-
little helmet, like wall rack. Of
Yeah.
That looks so cool.
So we'll see. We've
I
got
love that.
2 in so far.
Oh, that's amazing.
Katie, if you had to choose another sport to create content, what would it be?
I think tennis. I really love tennis. My brother plays it. My mum plays it. My gran plays it. Like, it's a family thing. I tried it when I was a kid and gave up pretty quickly because I hate doing anything that involves exercise. But yeah, I love tennis. So
I don't really know. Maybe rugby, just purely because that's what it's quite like. Back in Gloucestershire, we got a big rugby team, but I'm not a rugby player. I think it's just been doubled down in modes. I haven't really dabbled in anything else, so maybe rugby.
Cool.
Interesting. Most unpopular opinion you have? It's getting spicy.
Katie's like, thank God I'm going second.
Oh God. Most unpopular opinion. It just in life, or
Literally can be anything.
The
The whole goal is trying to cancel
Matt's
you
like,
guys.
skip.
Yeah.
skip.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of something.
do you want me to go first? What do you think of something?
Sure.
Oh,
yeah.
she got
Okay,
one.
so I have 2. Beyonce is overrated, which I know is going to upset a lot of people.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
And the next one is one that also cuts deep for the guys. Is I think Will Ferrell's overrated as
Oh,
well.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I do agree with
Maybe I
that.
should have gone with that one first.
I agree with that. I agree
Accept
with
that
that
one.
I've actually said that before. Yeah, I think Semi-Pro is his only good movie. He acts the same in every other movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same.
But
it's the same
Beyonce,
character.
that is
How dare
criminal.
you.
Thank
God.
I did not expect that to come
Sorry.
out.
Thank God my sister wasn't here and she was
I
sitting on the pod because she would have killed
I
you.
like the BJ album. That's a good one. But apart from that, I don't really care.
Matt?
All right. I think there should be a law to retake your license or your driving test every 10 years or so.
I agree. I agree with
There's
that.
some drivers out there, don't know how you manage it. You should get a renewal. If you can't drive, it makes it safer.
Feels targeted, but yeah, anyways.
Oh, wait, he switched up as driver? Oh, is
He just got his
I
license.
just got my license.
Just?
Yeah.
Just.
How old are you?
26.
I don't have my license yet. Either.
Hey.
So, and I'm 28, and I literally write about drivers for a living.
I failed my first driver's test though because
The
I
written
went
one.
onto the pavement.
Yeah.
Why did you
While
drive
trying
onto
to
the
parallel
pavement?
park.
Ram
Oh,
someone over.
right.
I
Tell
haven't-
them about your written one.
Oh no,
How
my
many
written one
times
I
you
failed 4 times.
Oh my god.
I
Oh
can't
my
do multiple
days.
choice.
Yeah.
I can always argue 2 of the 4 options,
Oh, my
and I just
days.
get in my head.
It's not as bad as my
I
cousin.
screwed
She's
all
failed it 7 times. I'm just like,
Oh,
by that
Lord.
point, just write
Yeah,
it off.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a crazy
yeah.
story,
No
but it's not very quick fire.
No, tell
to do
us.
with my driving test. So I have driven before. I think I'm a good driver personally, but I don't have a license. Yeah.
That's what
Which
we
is
all
a
do.
bit
I don't
risky
see
thing
the
to say.
license.
But I was on my way to take my driving test, and someone crashed into me on my way to the test. And they were in like a van, and they pulled out in front of me at a roundabout. And obviously, I wasn't expecting it. My driving instructor wasn't expecting it because she had dual control. And I think it was just like a builder wanting an insurance claim. Ended up having to go to court.
Oh
Got,
my
like crazy. And it was like, yeah, you're completely fine, Katie. You're in the right. But that is one of the reasons why I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do driving for a bit. And then COVID happened.
I mean,
and
that's
then,
valid, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
when
would
I say
understand.
I don't have my driving license, that's why. But yeah, that's like
Bloody
peak
builders.
me to get crashed into on my way to a driving test.
You in transportation?
Yeah, just shouldn't.
What are your bus stories?
There must be some.
Crazy.
All right, here we go. Katie, your best prediction. It could be anything. You don't have to say who won or who wins, sorry, but your best prediction for the 2024 F1 season.
Oh, I think. Oh, this is really difficult. I think Carlos Sainz is gonna finish ahead of Charles again in Ferrari.
Okay, valid.
Sergio being dropped by Red Bull.
Midway.
Oh.
Sure, why not? 'Cause if it happens,
for the
it would look
clips.
so good.
We're
I'm
definitely
sorry,
gonna clip
Checo
that.
fans.
Yeah, we're clipping that one.
yeah.
Love it.
Next question. I'm going to separate it for both of you guys. If you woke up and realized you were Lando Norris, what's the first thing you would do? And for you, if you woke up and you're Sebastian Vettel while you're racing, what would you do?
The first thing if I woke up as Lando Norris.
Give yourself a pay rise.
I mean, like Formula One drivers, they're quite rich, right? I
Yeah,
don't know.
spend their money.
Pay Matt more. There we go.
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would probably ask the team if I can do a test session in the car straight away. Like being in the body, which is physically able to actually drive an F1 car. I know I'd be awful at actually doing it because it's more than that. But to be able to drive an actual competitive current F1 car, that's what I would try to do.
Yeah.
I think I would commit and sign up to doing something that meant we could see Seb more because I'm from a selfish perspective, I miss him. So whether that's signing a Netflix deal or documentary or something so we can follow him around, see what life's like after racing, without obviously being too invasive in his personal life because he likes to keep that separate. But yeah,
Join Formula E.
yeah, I know. I need
that.
to try and persuade him, but yeah, maybe that.
Cool. Katie, outside of your work, what is your favorite addiction right now?
Oh God. I am really getting into like building Lego, which I find
That's
is like
cool.
quite a nice switch off. So I'll try and I put a podcast on in the background, which is normally motorsports. So maybe try and do something different with that. But yeah, it's something that basically lets me have time off my phone, and I find Lego can be quite a good.
Build the McLaren F1 car.
Yeah, I've got that in my office. It took me
Yeah.
ages to build, but they're releasing a Formula E car, I think, soon. So. But yeah, there's lots of really cool ones. So maybe Lego is a bit lame, but
Yeah,
enough.
mine's even lamer, and it's not really even a hobby.
Yeah.
I really like doing cable management.
I actually like that too.
So to the point where like my computer setup is like immaculate.
Immaculate.
It's a standing desk,
Come
one
and do
cable coming
mine.
through.
Yeah.
This is the thing. So friends of mine like know I do this, and they want me to come over to like tidy up their cables and stuff. To the point where I asked my missus Phoebe to get me this for my birthday. It's a zip tie gun where basically not only when you squeeze the trigger, it tightens it, and at the maximum tension, slices it clean until there's no little nubbin at the end.
Yeah.
It's so boring.
No, it is.
But I love it so much. So yeah, it's not really a hobby, but I just love it.
He has seen my
I know.
bedroom.
Henny
You won't
loves
see a cable.
Yeah.
It's needy.
On mine, you'll see like a cable out of the pillow and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Awful.
That must
Awful.
bother you right now, right
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
it bothers
Yeah,
the shit
yeah,
out
yeah.
of me too.
All right.
Well, like this is the thing. So you guys can't see this here. There's some great cable management here, but then everything else over here is just like
shit show.
free reign, trip hazards galore. If it's my inner producer being like, "That's a trip hazard. That's a trip hazard."
Yeah. All right, this is the next question. Most embarrassing moment you guys had? Well, it can be in the paddock, creating content, just that nobody knows about.
I know this one. So it's a bit of a long-winded one. I'll try and get it through quickly. When my last ever race, I was working for Formula E. This is when COVID was just about to kind of like everyone can come back together. We were the first championship to actually have races again. So what we did was we did 6 races in 9 days in Berlin. So all the team and drivers had to take over this one hotel. We had little bubbles and stuff, but that's due just to constraints that we had and doing constant tests and what have you. So it was the last race of the season. And we didn't even like have an awards gala. We basically just took over the hotel. So we're there until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Everyone partying downstairs. Like the drivers were with us drinking, team personnel. And like it was the first time we can actually be together and drink and stuff. And so everyone's just going wild. There was a huge dance circle where people going into the middle to sort of doing a dance move. I recognized some team members because I used to work for DS Virgin. And I recognized some guys from DS who I went over. So I went over and gave one of them a lap dance because I thought that'd be a fun thing to do. I'm quite tall, so seeing someone like me doing a lap dance, you wouldn't expect it. In the process of doing that, I knocked over the guy's beer and sort of laid over on top of him and fell over. And I looked down and realized it wasn't someone from DS who I knew. It was a completely random guy. And I looked up and I saw the rest of the DS guys actually there. I was like, oh, you're just a random guy. Just a random guy lap dancing. And then, the day after, I just felt all the shame. And Vernon Kay shouted out to everyone in the hotel lobby, hey, everyone, here's a guy who sucked out all the fun last night because I knocked over the guy's drink. So, never lived that down.
Oh, my gosh.
That is hard to beat.
Yeah. Wow.
That's really hard to beat.
Also in the Formula E paddock, there is the official cars, and so they've got safety car, medical car, and occasionally they'll have, well, this time they had the Gen 1 car, which I think somebody like Chris Hemsworth or Idris Elba or something had just done a lap around this track in it. And I was taking pictures of it, and the guys that were there were like, do you want to get in it? And I was like, yeah, I want to get in the car. And didn't think it through, because I had a skirt on, and as I'm getting in, the skirt caught, and I literally flashed my underwear to all of the blokes in the garage, and I was like, please turn around! Like, it was so embarrassing. But I managed to get in the car and then got my picture, so I was all right. But that was pretty humiliating.
Was that in London Battersea?
Why, were you there?
I feel like I think I might
I don't think it was that early. I think it was maybe season. I think it was like maybe season 2 or season 3. But I just remember, like, as you sit down, there was a bit that clipped at the back. I don't know what it was for. I don't think it was for like the hands device or something. But managed to catch up my skirt and was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was embarrassing.
Gotcha. All right, Katie, if you could have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Like one specific food or one kind? Oh.
No, specific.
Not even a dish, just like a
dish is fine.
Okay,
but not like a cuisine.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to my mind was like lasagna, which is quite boring, really. I'm like Garfield the cat. But yeah, I can't think of one thing in particular.
I think for me, pepperami.
Oh,
know
really?
pepperami? Do you know pepperami?
No.
It's like salami, but like in a bar, not bar form, but like small thin lasagna. No, small thin like salami you kind of get in the UK. It's
What's it called again?
Pepperami.
Pepperami.
Very posh.
Okay, yeah.
No,
Sounds
it's
very
not.
It's like just say pepperoni.
All right, lasagna and pepperami.
Pepperami. I'll buy you some after. Trust me, it's great.
All right.
Oh my god.
Unconvincing. Okay.
All right, your favorite guilty TV show?
Guilty. That's the thing, because I got a few TV shows, but it's the guilty aspect is a hitter. think like maybe like Parks and Rec.
Oh, okay.
That's
Not even bad. That's good.
It's not real guilty though, but yeah.
Yeah, if we're going guilty, I'd say something like Emily in Paris
Oh,
on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that
Don't
is
know it.
Is it Emily
Trash.
or Amelia?
is Emily in Paris.
Oh, it's Emily. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Amelia?
I thought I heard Amelia.
Oh, sorry, Emily. Yeah.
Amelia.
No, Emily in Paris. That show is trash, but it's so good and so watchable. But otherwise, The Office. But that's not guilty.
We didn't get Love
We didn't
Island.
get Love
Thank
Island.
God.
Gee.
The amount of times we've been getting that.
No,
Unfortunately.
I don't care about that.
All right, to both of you, but we'll start with Katie. If you found yourself in an elevator with Susie Wolf,
Ooh,
what would you?
break it
Tell
so
her.
I could have more time with her.
What would you ask
Just
her?
push all the buttons. I would say thank you for starting Dare to Be Different, which is now FIA Girls on Track. I'm very proud in the fact that I was one of the first people to sign up for that at Autosport International a few years ago when she launched it. I think I was like the 6th member or something like that. But yeah, I think what she's done for women in motorsport has been nothing short of inspiring. I was lucky enough to have the chance to interview her last year as part of my stuff with Sports Illustrated. And yeah, she's such a cool person. And I love how, business minded she is, as well as having her background in everything she did with Williams and getting the opportunity to be like the first woman in nearly 3 decades to take part in an F1 weekend. And it's a shame that that kind of happened at a time where if that had happened nowadays, like it would be even bigger. But yeah, I think that she's just awesome. So I would push all the buttons and then just talk to her about stuff. Yeah.
And then Matt, if you were in an elevator stuck with the head of Liberty Media,
Oh.
what would you say to that individual?
Give me access. Let me film here. Let me film in the paddock. Yeah, I'd freak out first and just be like, "Why are you doing this?" I'd probably ask them like what the expansion plans are. Like, what are you trying to do different in the next few years to try and get like not like a scoop, but like sort of. I just want to hear kind of how that kind of works, and also hear like commercial wise of like I guess we're the same with like Susie Wolf, kind of like learning about that kind of leadership role of like how are you managing a team, how are you delivering on expectations, what's unforeseen things which hamper your job from being creative and stuff. Just that, and also just being like, yeah, when are they going to wake up to that there is a digital revolution of like this is how the new audience is consuming that content.
Yeah.
When are you going to start prioritizing that over traditional media? So yeah.
Wow. All right. Last question of the hot round. You're writing an autobiography on yourself. Which title best resonates with you? We got 4: the Daredevil, the Dreamcatcher, the Free Spirit, or the hardest worker.
So what is it? So
Dreamcatcher, the Daredevil, the Free Spirit, or the hardest worker?
probably the hardest worker for me, I would say. Yeah, I just.
But you don't work hard at all.
Oh,
I'm joking.
shots
You're one of
fired.
the hardest
Pop,
workers I know, so I'm only joking.
No, it's become a little bit of a trope of mine of just working a bit too hard on stuff when I need to kind of like relax. Like when I go on holiday, it takes a good like 2 days for me to like stop checking emails and stuff. It's just because I like being active. I like keeping doing things. And like if I was to go away on a holiday, yeah, like I wouldn't be going to like a relaxing spa. I wouldn't be doing everything in that city to try and capitalize on it. So probably that one, I'd say.
Yeah, I think hard worker, but I'll go for Dreamcatcher or something different.
But
so.
you don't have any dreams.
You don't dream.
I dream and I have really freaking weird dreams. That's another podcast for another time.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for coming
Yes.
on. Where can people follow along with your guys' journey? Matt, on YouTube, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just Matt Amys. That's how it's pronounced. Amys, not Amy's, not
God,
Amy's.
I screwed
Amys.
up
I need to
already.
get it out there. Yeah, so Matt Amys on YouTube and soon on Spotify, a new podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called,
Let's
it's
go.
called
Nice.
Gaining Traction.
There's
It's
the
about-
exclusive.
Yeah.
Bang.
That's the
literally
drop
an
right
exclusive,
there.
Yeah, so it's called.
I didn't know that. You didn't even tell me that.
Literally, it's only just happened. So it's called Gaining Traction. It's about like F1 and F1 content creation. So yeah.
Katie?
You can find me on social media at Katy Fairman on X, at Katy Motorsport on Instagram. I have a podcast called Small Talk, talk spelling TORQE. I had like a sudden meltdown mid thing there.
She's a
Like,
journalist.
Yeah, I write for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can find me there, and I've also started putting episodes on YouTube. If you want to see this face, then you can watch it on YouTube as well. And yeah, I'm working Formula E, maybe Sports Illustrated again this year. But yeah, I've basically Google my name, which sounds so awful.
No,
Just
no.
Google me, everyone.
Yep,
You know.
you'll find it all.
Definitely check out Matt. Definitely check out Katie. These are people on, the grassroots that have built up the creator economy in motorsport. So definitely check them out. We honestly, guys, could have kept talking.
I know.
For
Yeah.
ages.
Can go on.
Yeah,
But
forever.
again, really appreciate you guys' time here.
Well, thank you guys. You come
Thank
you come
you,
all the
yeah.
way from over
had
the
to.
pond, so
Yeah.
Canada, yeah.
yeah.
Back to bed and back to turning off the lights. So we'll
Oh
see you
my
guys in the next episode.
Like, subscribe, and check up on him too.
Yeah.